Tuning in to Chaos Culture Radio, dropping knowledge in the studio you already know.
Thank you for tuning in to Chaos Culture Radio. This is Prince Hakeem.
And this is your man, Ronnie Ron. Hey, Hakeem, you back at it? I thought you was watching TV, man. What's up?
Nah. Nigga, I want all the smoke. Fuck that. Nigga, I'm on 10 toes down. Like we back. I'm live and I'm up and hey, I'm more awake than I've ever been. You know I sleep a lot.
I know. To see you up and alive, I was like, man, are you watching TV? He said, nah, you just up. I'm like, wow.
Let me tell you why. When we got black brothers together and we talking about shit that's serious, I feel like I got my second win. I feel like I got my second win. You know what I mean? Let me tell you something. What have I told you 4 or 5 years ago outside in front of my cousin's house? I say, we can barely get 4 niggas together and move a couch, let alone come on a podcast to talk about issues.
And then look, we got 4 people talking about issues now. 4.
You know what I mean? Oh my God. Intelligent brothers. And ladies and gentlemen, we got our brothers in solidarity back with us again. Family. And we got JP and we got Jabari.
Yeah. Welcome back, guys, once again.
Thank you for having us. Welcome. Thank you. Hello, audience. What's going on?
What's cracking? Now,
this topic here, Hakeem, we've been getting emails, we've been getting death threats, we've been getting people stalking us, man. About this one right here, we're about to get into again.
And I'm gonna say it again. Take your degree and help that keep you warm, little mama.
Oh.
I hope your
people
JD...
are like, man, Hakeem, people are like, what are you talking about? What we're gonna talk about today is the educated black woman. How can we control the educated black woman?
Part 2. No, you cannot.
Oh, come on now. Now you giving me no hope, man. Come on.
Brother, she is stuck in her ways. And stuck in her ways, we gotta think, man, I can't even come to mind what separate the black home, where they started giving all these sisters degrees and putting men in jail and telling them they can't stay at the house with their baby mamas. Whatever law that was, we blame that on them.
Yep. That's a fact.
So you got a lot of these sisters running around here, and I'm gonna be very quick because I want my brothers to jump on here. A lot of you ladies who weaponize your degree. I'm gonna be very clear what I just said. Weaponize, who use your degree in education as a crutch to feel that you deserve a certain type of caliber of men. You're going to die alone. It is a fact. You only going to be able to deal with Ray Antoine. And that's the fact of the matter is. You're not going to be able to get Jean Baptiste or Bernard or Rashid. You know what I mean? Because they're not checking for you. And that's what I got to say on that right now.
Go ahead, Jabari.
I'm gonna start it off. I'm gonna say this first and foremost. I do want to salute, before we get into it, the nitty gritty. I do want to salute the educated women out there who do get their degrees, because even though we about to get into it, that's not something we're gonna poo-poo on. That's an accomplishment, no matter what this conversation goes to in the next few minutes. So salute them. So I have my share of experiences with educated women who has degrees with bachelors and masters and stuff like that. And they pretty much feel like it's feel like as a man, there's nothing you can tell them. They know everything. With the degrees, with the accolades, they feel like they can pretty much not really listen to you. But today we're just going to talk about how you can pretty much handle them. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of educated women out here that they have the brains and they have the accolades, but they either lack common sense or they lack knowledge on how to survive. So it's up to the man. That's where we control that situation. We know what it takes to survive. We know that, hey, we're the protector, we're the provider, and we're the mechanic guy, We're the guy that's going to cut the grass. We're the guy that's going to take out the trash. We're the guys that, if the power cuts out of your home, we know how to pretty much survive. We know how to survive on canned goods and tuna fish and noodles and stuff like that. So, for example, and I love my wife to death. My wife, congratulations to her, she has a master's degree in public health. So there were times, not saying that she does this, she doesn't do it at all, but there are times where, like she'll think that she'll have like the one up on me and knowledge of what she thinks she knows. But nowadays, she does concede to me with a lot of things. She asks me, "Hey, babe, what do you think about this?" Or, "Hey, babe, what you think about that?" The reason why being is that, yes, she does have the smarts, but I know a way for us to survive when there's nothing around us. For example, a lot of advice she comes to me. Well, she's just going to break it down like this. She's the brains of the family. But, as a man, you got to be the leader. You got to be, how should I say this? You got to be the king. And it goes back to our conversation that we had in the last few episodes, way back. Like the man has to pretty much be the king of the household. And once you're the king of the household, it doesn't matter if that man only has a high school diploma or associate's degree. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to survive. He knows how to provide. And that does outweigh more than the accolades of any degrees in general. Because the degrees is accomplishments, don't get me wrong. And it's something that we do celebrate. But will the degrees help you survive? And I feel like as men, we're the survivors, we're the providers, we're the protectors. And, you got to establish that king status no matter what your mate has. Your mate can have a master's and a bachelor's, but we're kings at the end of the day. She's a queen, but we're kings. We're the highest of the high. So what I was talking to Ronnie about over the phone is pretty much sometimes like, you have to take control of that relationship. You have to tell your woman like, hey, do this and do that. And how you set that up, you got to earn that respect. Now, it's a lot, again, for example, she may know how to add or subtract, but does she know how to cut the grass? Does she know how to fix a sink? Does she know how to change a tire? And as men, that's where we come in and do what we can do with that. And if we can do what we can do with that, that pretty much help us in pretty much gaining that king status. So if we can do all the manly things, and we can tell the woman from there, if we do all the manly things from there, we can pretty much go and tell the woman what to do. Say, hey, I don't think you should do it this way. I think you should do it that way. Being that you can do the manly thing, she's gonna sit there and say like, hey, you know what? Let me listen to him because he got me this far. He provided for me. He took care of me. He protected me. Any mechanical things I needed fixed, he was able to handle it. Let me listen to see what he's talking about. And if you lead your woman in the right direction in that way, she's going to keep following you from here on out. And then whatever decisions that she has, whatever economical or mechanical or whatever, she's going to come to you first and say, hey, what do you think, babe, before I do it? And that's all I want to say is how you control the educated woman. Because educated women, most of them have big heads. But it's things that you can do around the house or around the situation where you can reclaim that throne and be that man again. And I had to learn this out of experience with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because my wife is smart. She's the brains of this whole marriage, honestly. But I there's things I do better than she does. And when I do those things better than she does, she comes to me with certain advice. And then when I laid her in the right direction, which I have multiple times, she's starting to trust me with a lot more than just mechanical issues, economical issues, technical issues, emotional distress, everything. So that's just a word of advice that I have. How you can pretty much reclaim that throne and handle that educated woman. And that's I'm gonna end with that.
That's what's up. Now, statistically speaking, this is an article. This is coming from the National Center of Education Statistics. They are saying Black women are now the most educated group in the United States, which means that they are more educated but less married, less having kids, and less nobody want to be with. And that's a serious issue in the Black community. The funny thing is, I told Jabari this over the phone. I told him that these Black women think they're so smart, but yet they're in college, which means you're not that smart. So they have to learn how to humble themselves and let the man be the man, and for them to be in their feminine role and let man do what a man do. Let me guide you. Let me lead you. I'm gonna lead you to the right path of righteousness. Now, this is what happened now. Since now the men are now being incarcerated, women feel like they gotta work 10 times harder, and that's why they're 10 times sicker. And not only that, and then 10 times bitter. Every time you see a Black woman, you see her angry, you see her frustrated, and you see, man, like, what the hell's going on with her? It's because she don't have a Black man. That's the problem. She has that degree to make it as a form of a Black man, but she don't have the physical form of a Black man. Go ahead, JP. Go in now. Let's go in now. Go in.
Well, I will say this is probably not my expertise, but I will operate from the space that I do understand, which is history and the data. So you said something that was very important. We must understand that prior to the Civil Rights Movement, 1960s, 1970s, the marriage rate for both Black men and Black women was, well, in terms of putting into layman's terms, only 5% of Black women and Black men were not married at least one time. Fast forward, you have a divorce rate which is out of this world. You have children being born out of wedlock at a rate of, like, I think 77 or 70 something percent. So I kind of look at this situation through the lens of it being orchestrated based on what you said, Ronnie, because of the mass incarceration of Black men.
Facts.
Because as Black people, our population in America, women make up 53% of that. So if you have this high population of Black men in prison, it's going to cause some imbalance within our community and within our relationships. Now, getting back to the topic at hand in terms of the educated Black woman, I'm a Black man who has 2 degrees, who has mostly dealt with women who also have degrees and are educated. And what I find is that there is a struggle between us. And I think a lot of times what happens is the culmination of that mixture of the frustration of, finding a suitor for a Black woman or somebody who they feel like, is on their level, who has the emotional maturity and the financial stability, because at the end of the day, women want to feel stable. I think one thing that women who have these degrees, who have this success, forget is that their power is rooted in their femininity. Femininity, for me at least, is the weakness to masculinity. And what you have is where you have this frustration on behalf of Black women when they're in the corporate space or when they're in these different spaces, they feel like they have to, match masculine energy. And I feel like a lot of times they forget that you got to turn that shit off. You can't just come around your man or come around men with that level of energy. I feel like if they remembered or tapped into the fact that their femininity is what their power is rooted in, I feel like that helps a lot. But at the same time, like Jabari was saying, we do have to look at it from a balanced perspective. There are a lot of Black men, and to our fault and not to our fault, who are not, maturing fast enough to be able to, be suitors, be husbands or whatever. But then again, like we saw, I'm pretty sure everybody saw on Instagram and on social media, the young woman who was in many ways berated, but also told the truth on Kevin Samuels' episode. I think that's his name, right?
Yeah, correct. You're right.
Yeah. he was pointing out something because she led with, because I make this amount of money, I deserve to be with this type of man.
Yep.
And in my opinion, I feel like we're all losing like what matters the most, which is your character, which is what type of person you are at the end of the day. Not necessarily what can you do for me. That's when shit started going left for me. And that's, for me at least, my biggest struggle. I'm not saying that we don't have a responsibility as men to put ourselves in position to be able to do for our women, but I'm just saying you should be more concerned with what type of person I am and who I am and what kind of father you see me being versus, if I'm making $100,000 or not. Because the way I look at it, like with our situation, because of the imbalance, we have to ask ourselves, and I'm pulling this from Antonio Moore, we have to ask ourselves, can we continue to look at marriage and relationships through the lens of, functional people whose situations do not incorporate a legacy of slavery and a legacy of Jim Crow, through the lens of white people who are in many ways stable because of their wealth? Can we look at ourselves through their lens, or do we have to make an adjustment based on what our current situation is? Meaning the gender role or the expectation is for the man to make more money and to, be the breadwinner. Well, what about, and this is maybe a touchy place for men, but what about looking at it in terms of a restructuring of roles in terms of women being, now the breadwinner, or not necessarily caring as much how much that man makes, but rather not he's a better man or he's a good man. That's kind of
no. The only issue with that, JP, is because the woman's role is to nurture the child. If she's out there making the bread, the child's not able to be nurtured. That's the problem.
That is true.
That's why I say it is a form of agenda, especially in the black culture, because now the black woman is now no longer being submissive, because she's gonna look at you, JP, like, you educated, I'm educated. Look, I'm making more money than you, so you need to go over there and sit in the corner. Nah, baby girl, you need to go over there and sit in the corner. So it makes man feel more less than a man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely.
So it's frustration. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is frustration.
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Akin. I did speak before. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, and I want to touch on. I'm gonna try to be quick now. To piggyback on what you said and what you said, you know what I mean? Yes, degrees are not to be sneezed on. They are great accomplishments, and you know what I mean. I love talking to women who are educated. You know what I mean. You can have really engaging conversations and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And see a point of view that you don't get from a lot of people if you're an intellectual. But where I have a problem is, and I've been through this, you know, because I'm a blue collar guy, is when women weaponize this. Point exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Check this out for an example.
Okay.
Piggybacking to with mass incarceration and the way the society is structured and public opinion and perception of black men. That's the biggest issue, is the way the media portray us, and economically we're at the bottom of the totem pole. It got so bad for us now where they say Hispanic men makes more money than us, and they was down from us a couple years ago. You feel what I'm saying? So it goes it goes from a situation of that. Now, mind you, when you get now mind you, and I don't want to get off topic here. Now, mind you, when you get a whole lot of women who are getting educated, getting degrees, which a lot of these ladies are getting subsidized and stuff like that, who are single moms and they're able to go to school for free. A lot of people don't want to talk about that. There's incentives in there, and they tell you can't have the man at the house and this and that, so you have to do something. So when you get this, and then you get a JD, a BA, or an MA, I have no problem with that. But when you weaponize this and you put that as a value to the type of man I am, that's when it becomes an issue. So now you have a plethora of black men who are not even being talked about. There's 53 black men who are middle class and single with no kids. What's wrong with a regular guy? Let me tell you something. You have to understand economically, in the way the situation is, massive incarceration. A lot of us are not at the top with massa. We work blue collar jobs. I have a CDL license. I was a truck driver. You know what I mean? A lot of us work at warehouses. You know what I mean? Some are police officers. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? You have this plethora, you have this gumbo soup full of different men who are out here and who are not in jail, who women who are educated are not even considering them because they say, hey, you don't make enough money enough, or you don't have that letter behind your name for a status symbol. It's a status symbol. You know what I'm trying to say? So now, are you gonna negate are you gonna negate a court officer, a police officer, a bus driver who can treat you, love you just as well as somebody who was a lawyer who's willing to be there with you in your end of days because he doesn't have a 2-letter by his name? That's the issue I have with education. That's the issue I have with black women.
The
Baby,
weaponization.
Listen, we can't live without y'all. We can't.
That's a fact.
Because let me tell you something. And this is my last point. When they started giving women power, they told them, you do not need matriarchy. You are educated now. You don't need the black man. And mind you, our power is rootedness in togetherness. When you have a family nucleus, we are unstoppable. Point blank, period.
Yep. That's true.
That's a fact.
That's true. I just think, I was just going to pick about what me and Ronnie was talking about last night. Ronnie, I don't know if you remember this conversation, how, we were saying, like, those type of women respond to the managers and the bosses at their job more than they respond to the regular average Joes, which is at home, which is us. So here's my question though I want to ask you guys. At one point with the educated, black women or women in general, at one point do you look at the men and say, hey, 'cause I feel like at the end of the day, men just had to know that we're kings. And at the end of the day, we're kings. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're together, now I understand, like, if we're, if I'm trying to holler at you, for example, and you're educated and, you kind of stuck up. So that's a losing situation for us because they're going to see us as average Joes and, whatever. But I'm saying if you're with a educated, I'm just speaking the purposes of when you're with an educated woman, when is it time for the man to pretty much realize that, hey, maybe the man need to step up and pretty much you don't need to make a lot of money to reclaim your throne. At the end of the day, we're men, we're kings. We should be able to pretty much lead them in the right direction. At the end of the day, men are here in this world to guide the woman. You get what I'm saying? We're supposed to guide them. So
okay, go ahead, Jabari. Finish your point.
No, I'm saying that's like you have a lot of weak-minded men who doesn't have much going for themselves. They with these educated women, and the educated women is like they wearing their pants in the family. What I'm trying to say is you don't really need to have like a career job or need to have making them a lot of money to still be the man in the house. You know what I'm saying? She might make a lot. For example, my wife make a lot more money than me now. She makes more money than me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you, Ronan, and JP, y'all know about this.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? She comes to me because, I earned that respect to where I'm the man of the house now. All decisions come to me before you go out and venture on your own. So, when do we start having this conversation? It's like, okay, maybe the men need to step up a little bit more and realize that you're the king and you got to control that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm just asking that question.
I think, I don't know who wanted to go, but.
No, go JP.
I just wanted to say one thing in terms of my own journey. I think one thing that both men and women, in this case, black men and women, need to do is be self-reflective and self-aware. Like a lot of us, and I cannot like bring myself to just put this on black women, but a lot of us as black men have to make sure that before we go into relationships that we are whole. And I kind of put that a little bit like an asterisk there, because I don't necessarily think that anybody is fully whole, because life is about, different lessons, but that we have to make sure that when we go into these situations that we are good, that we're not the problem, that we're not the reason or the excuse or whatever, because there are a lot of women out there who also are not whole, who think they are. There's a lot of women out there who think they know everything and they really don't. And they don't know how to lead. How to follow. And like Jabari was saying, it is our responsibility as men to make sure that we position ourselves to be a leader for a woman to follow. But at the same time, I absolutely agree that there are women out there who are toxic and who use their positionality and their degrees and their education from a position of power over men. It's a lot of women. I just got into an argument or disagree with one of my friends who, every 10 seconds she was bringing up a statistic about Black women having more degrees or Black women doing this. And I'm like, y'all have to be self-aware to understand that in this country, racism and around the world, racism has a disproportionate effect on Black men. It's more Black men in prison in America than women throughout the world.
Preach.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand it's more y'all than us. I even support, and I don't want to take the conversation left, but I even support, people who believe in polygamy and stuff, because our situation is just totally different than other people who are more functional in terms of having stability than us. JP. But I'm not saying you got to go into that, but yeah.
No, I support. Me and Ron are big supporters of that.
Big supporters, okay.
Yeah, polygamy. Yeah, I think polygamy is the way to go.
Let me tell you something.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That could solve a lot of single parent households here in America.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
Yeah.
Now on the contrary, on what Jabari was saying, he said, you have to understand something. Right now, women are drinking more than an average Black man. They drinking out of the bottle. They drinking a whole bottle of wine every night. That is an issue.
Brody, man, you off the chain.
I'm lying?
No, you know I ain't lying. Man. Oh my God.
That is an issue. It's an issue because the Black woman is suffering right now because they don't have somebody to go home to. They have too much stress on themselves, and not only that, but you can even do the research yourself. Black women now are getting more sicker faster than any other race in the United States as of today.
But Ronnie, whose fault is that?
Who fault is that? Is the fault of them not having a father at home. We already know that's the more reason.
It's all about the father.
Man.
Is the father not being home? Is the man not being home? Is a big issue.
But is it that, or is it the fact that with the accomplishments that they have, they feel like they're more entitled to where they're not just going to just settle for anybody.
They're
going to settle for somebody that's on their level. True. And it's rarely, when you're an educated Black woman, it's hard to find. It's like a diamond in the rough. It's hard to find an educated Black man or a Black man who has more than his shit together to be on your level. Because most likely, if he was, he ain't finna go for you.
Basically,
you know what I'm saying? So
go
ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
So you just said something that made me want to point out a statistic. And I was arguing with my homegirl, and I was wrong. I gotta admit it. But in terms of Black men, 24% of married Black men actually date outside of their race, which I was going to go there. I was going to go there. And 12% of Black women, so that's half, actually date outside of their race.
Because you know the reason why? Because outside of their race, they are trained, they are molded on know how to play their role. Black women, the problem is Black women been taught by the media on how to play their role, and that's absolutely false. Most Black women don't even have a mentor.
But JP, what you just said, just to piggyback off, we all talking about patriarch. You know what I'm trying the word.
Yeah.
Who respect that male figure there, and other races are not going to clown Black men for not having degrees.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? But I do want to touch on what Jabari said, because I think we kind of skipped over that. Jabari, you are right. And I just want to say this. If you choose to be with a woman who's educated, you know you're going to have to work twice as hard as her for her to respect you.
How so? Hakeem?
No, I'm about to tell you. I'm about to tell you now, because he did say a good point. Because let me tell you something. A lot of us be looking for Black educated women. Let's get that straight. And then when you get these kind of women, because they be giving us a lot of chances, you got to understand.
Yeah, that's true.
She's going to come in here with expectations. And expectations that's only left onto her what society told her to. So she's going to think, hey, you want to be my man? What are you going to do about it? You say you want to be with me? What are you going to do about it? You might have to pick up a second job. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's either that or you assess yourself correctly in the dating market and just go get somebody at Checkers. You just make life.
And it goes back to our last. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you good. Go ahead, boy.
Nah, I'm picking back what Hakeem was saying. That goes back to our last, I think a few episodes ago, where last time we was all on. And if you want to get rid of these educated women, you have to. It's a must that you gotta look at yourself in the mirror first and make sure that hey, I got my shit together. If my shit is if my shit is together, then I can probably handle her. But if I ain't got my shit together, she's out of my league. Because I know the expectation that she may want. I can't match. I can't even get close to that. You know. So if you're gonna think now again, a lot of these there's a few of these educated women as well. They settle for the what Hakeem be saying the Jean Baptiste who work at the Publix warehouse at Walmart. They settle for those, but you know why they settle for those? You know, a lot of times where they probably pretty much grew up with that particular person, and that was like probably their first boyfriend at the time. So it's just like they're just going to stick with that person, or the man, he just knows how to be a man.
Yeah,
he just knows that hey, I know how to not really provide, but I know how to lead you in the right direction, and she's going to respect that. So it's a lot of ways of going to pretty much how to pretty much handle an educated woman. But I do want to piggyback what Hakeem was saying. If you want to go for an educated woman that has her shit together, that's making a lot of money, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and then be honest with yourself before you take the chance to try to put down.
Yeah. I want to make a really quick point. At the end of the day, it really comes down to one thing, and that is, like I said before, the instability that was placed upon us in our community. That's the root of all of this stuff. And another, not numerical statistic, but just fact, is that in terms of the dynamic between black men and black women are the only women who outpace their men in terms of earning. The only women. So that's why we're out of whack in comparison to white men and white women, Asian men and Asian women. We're the only ones who have that problem that are not in a position to be able to lead in that way. So that's why it's such a struggle for black women to find that guy. And that's why I said, I think, in my opinion, that we have to kind of reshape and restructure how we're looking at our relationships, and then also make sure that we're taking our responsibility as men to do our part, because it's not even a manly thing, in my opinion, to place the blame on women. We still got to find our place. We still got to do what we got to do to make sure that they, are good. But at the same time, I'm not saying that they have to lower their expectations, but I think that they have to look at, how they choose a mate from a different perspective. I feel like the most important thing is making sure your spirits align, is making sure that you can communicate with this person, that y'all can figure it out. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. So
I agree, Jay. I agree.
But my thing is always an issue with the black community women, because like I said, like the Jewish culture, it was a guy, he told me a story how a guy was dating. No, actually it was you, Jabari, that told me how you knew somebody that married a Jewish a woman that didn't know Jewish at all, married a Jewish man. She got converted. She humbled herself and got converted and did whatever the man wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because why? That's the man. He was the king. You know what I'm saying? And it's up to the man and you hear a lot of stories too, where men, pretty much changes women. So it's possible to date somebody, or just to, date somebody who's. So what I'm trying to say is highly possible to mold an educated woman to the point that she's humble. You know what I'm saying?
In my experiences, the thing that I've seen, not to cut you off real quick, but the women that I've seen, my friends who I've seen who are women who would be considered to be educated and don't take no shit, they have folded into their femininity based on being with men who take care of everything or men who, do their thing. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've noticed.
Facts. And what kind of job those guys got? Or do they got degrees?
IT job. But no, and I don't think he has a degree, and I don't want to call out names. They're both my friends and they're great. But one thing I've noticed is the dynamic too, and this doesn't count for all immigrants, but typically what we see is that Black men are going outside of their race, and then Black women are having more success with African men or with white men and
that is
whatnot
true.
because of that stability. So yeah.
Let me say this. I want to get back to something you said that I said it in another way. Jabari said it in another way, but you said it articulately. And what is the main point? Black women are the only race of women who outpace their own men. You say something which is so critical because Hispanic men make more money than their wives, which they subsequently pay for everything, and their wives stay home. I have a couple that live next door to me. You know what I'm trying to say? It's the same thing with Arabs. It's the same thing with Chinese at some point. You know what I mean? And even look at this podcast right now. Out of all 5 of us, who has a degree here? Out of all 4 of us. JP, you see how the statistics...
And Jabari?
Yeah, I got a degree. Don't forget that.
I don't have a degree. I ain't gonna lie. I got a trade school. I ain't got no degree, though.
Hey, you got a degree, Jabari?
Yeah, Jabari
on that master.
2.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought you was working at the court office.
Nah, man. Miami-Dade and then FIU, and now I'm in the online school thing right now. So
you see, I didn't even know that. You see, I didn't even know that. So just
still 50%.
It's 50%. You know what I mean? Because I went to trade school just like Ronnie. You know what I mean? I got my CDLs. I can drive anything that got wheels on.
Right. That's what we need to talk about too. Another episode.
Situation.
You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like if you picking up a trade would have been a lot more beneficial than going to college. But that'll be another podcast.
That'd be a whole nother podcast. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because you said that to a point where, and I just want to say this real. You want to know when Black women who are educated start to wake up is when they get older, and when they see that when they get older, and I'm gonna be very honest with you, and they need to start to plan their end of life situation. Who is there to chronologically your life but your mate? Are you going to be that worried about what piece of paper he got? Or you can have somebody in the house with you when it's cold, when it's hot, and if something happens to you, somebody's sitting at the hospital with you, and if you die, who's going to tell you how you was as a person in life?
Yeah.
That's what it matters at the end of the day. And this is the reason why you have a lot of us men who tend to stray away from women with education and tend to get with women who don't make as much as us, who don't look as better. Because you want to know something? We're sacrifice looks and many things for cooperation.
Yeah, that was absolutely. One thing, I called my sister today in preparation for this because this is, like I said, this ain't necessarily my topic. But I asked my sister, and she told me her friend, she went to school, she's a doctor now, and she was saying that her friend is struggling to find a man because a lot of Black men in particular will count themselves out because they think that they don't necessarily live up to the standard of what she's looking for before they even try. They'll write her and be like, oh, like, I don't, I see you're a doctor, I don't want to waste your time or whatever. And I think that is in part an insecurity based on what we've gone through, but I also think it speaks to a lot of the conversation that women have put out there, Black women in particular, have put out there about needing a man who can match their, their credentials and stuff. And at the end of the day, like that degree, you don't lay down with that degree, you know. You don't lay down.
Get warm.
Exactly. So it's I think it's a opportunity there for both sides to do some work, and do some soul searching in terms of what we could do to make these situations better. But
man, and I want to say something too.
Yeah, go ahead. And my last point is this, and Jabari, I think we need to do another podcast where it's a panel, where it's us and a group of educated Black women.
That'd be awesome.
to come down to a point of contention and solutions to where we can come together to figure out what can we fix. Is it to create an app where you just leave out education and just focus on personalities, or come up with a concept where we're just mating people based on characteristics and the type of person that they are?
Absolutely. Oh, that would be awesome. I think it's much needed.
That would be. I'll be down for that for sure. You know, I was gonna say one thing, just piggyback what Jay was saying. I remember the days when me, Ronnie, and the rest of the boys was going out, and we would go to bowls or somewhere like that, and then I'll talk to a girl, and the girl got her stuff together, and I'll just walk away, and because I get discouraged too. It's like, damn, like she got her shit together. I'm still trying to finish school. You know what I'm saying? And Ronnie would have to sit there and tell me, it's like, man, what you doing, man? Like, what you doing? Like, go ahead, talk to him, man. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, you just like, go talk to her. You a man. So, I had to learn that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but a lot of brothers, they get discouraged once they hear that status. But just like, just take what Ronnie was, telling me at the time. Just go, just go talk. You're a man, you're a king. No matter what job you have or how much money you're making, that you're a king. You know what I'm saying?
That shot.
You know what I'm saying? You just gotta. The next episode also we gotta uplift our black men. You know what I'm saying? Because situations like that, they gotta be reminded that hey, no matter what the woman is making or what she's doing in her life, you are somebody too. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I wanted to say, man.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And now are we doing the final notes now, Hakeem? What's up? What we on?
Most definitely, we done passed that 30. It's time to take it home.
Take it home. Go ahead, JP. Take it home.
My last word is just at the end of the day, I don't put the blame solely on black women. I think that there are things that both parties can do, but I will not deny the fact that there is some toxicity that exists within, that success and that education of a lot of black women, that I think that they should seek, their femininity in terms of, working against that masculinity that they're trying to fight against. That's what I'll say.
And I'll say this. I think the educated woman and I think us men would just have to compromise and just come together, because with the distance between both entities, it's really started the decline of black families that's in this country that could be created. So we just got to compromise, and the man got to be the man, and the woman got to be the woman. It's just that simple.
And
I think. Go ahead.
No,
I won't say me. I won't say me. I think the man should just learn who truly who he is, and able to coach his woman and to bring the woman back into her original role, which is her feminine side.
We cannot have no UNITY without you, educated black woman. If you want to talk to us, or if you want to get into this conversation, you know how to reach us. Chaos Culture Radio.
Out.
Peace. Man, I just appreciate y'all just listening. Stay tuned for the next episode.